Hey guys, how's it going? This is Marcus Bledsoe here, and in this quick video, or actually it's going to be a little bit lengthy video, but I'm going to show you exactly how Podio works and what you can expect to occur whenever you take an action inside Podio. So here we are on the login page of Podio, and you can simply go to Podio, www.podio.com/login. And just a side note, I have created this operations manual called Understanding Podio, and it's got a table of contents that walks you through the entire organization and then breaks down each app. And when you actually get to, let's just jump to one of the pages that breaks down an app. We'll go to the Seller Leads app here. When you actually get to that app, you'll see that it breaks down every single field and tells you exactly what is contained within that field, what categories the field consists of, if it's a category field. And then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of that particular section, you'll find the workflow automations. Okay, so it details what happens when you alter the follow up in field, when you alter the email address, when you alter the lead status within that field, when you alter the is that flexible question, and it basically breaks down all the workflow automations for each and every field within that particular app. So definitely use this to your benefit. Definitely took quite a bit of time to generate and create for you. So hopefully it's a valuable resource. All right. So let's go ahead and log in. So over here, you're going to have all the different workspaces that consists of the Straight Street Real Estate Solutions organization. Okay, so the first workspace is going to be an employee network, and this workspace is essentially a default. We don't use it for anything. However, Podio requires this workspace to be in existence. We also have the company calls workspace, which we're not actually using at the moment, so you won't have to worry about that at the as of the date of this video. And then you have the human resources workspace, the incoming correspondence workspace, the marketing workspace, the operations workspace, which is our main workspace. Then you have the technical support and our website upload workspace. So let's just go into human resources and we'll walk through what apps are present in the human resources workspace. Okay, so you have the vacation and sick app, which is the first app here. And what you'll do is whenever you want to request time off for any reason, all you would do is just come over here to add time off request, select yourself as the member or the contact there. The contact is required, so I'm going to go ahead and enter that in. The date is also required, so you just want to enter in whatever date. Let's just say you have a doctor's appointment on October. Let's do that in the future. October 22nd from the workday starts at 9, so we'll just say from 9 to 11:30 you'd like to request off. So the request type would be sick, and that would be a unpaid request, and you would just leave any notes regarding your request here. So doctor's appointment, requesting time off. And then what you would do is just hit save time off request, and then let me show you what happens here. Once that happens, a task gets created for myself or another team member to go ahead and review your new time off request. And then what we would do is just come in here and either mark it approved or denied. If we mark it approved, then a comment is created and it just says, hey, and then your name here. your time off request was approved. And then if we mark it denied, you'll see um, another message will get created. Hey, Marcus, unfortunately, your time off request has been denied. Okay. So that is the vacation and sick app. You definitely want to utilize that if you're going to be needing any time off that hasn't been spoken about, and discussed. All right. So the next app you won't necessarily be using very much, but this is the employment application app, and that's going to be used by myself pretty heavily to hire new team members. And then we have our human resources documents app, which you won't necessarily need to use either. But then we also have our team member training app. So this is the app where all of your training information is going to be housed. So what happens is when we onboard a new team member, we'll select that team member there and then that team member's job title. And then what happens is when we save this, it's going to invite you into this item, and then it's going to have a series of tasks below for you to be able to complete in order to complete your training. So I'm not going to save that. And that does it for the human resources app. The next app is going to be our incoming correspondence app, workspace. I'm sorry. The incoming correspondence workspace houses all of the incoming correspondence, whether it be seller correspondence, buyer correspondence, or private lender correspondence. And what this is kind of a buffer to clean up correspondence before it actually goes into our lead apps. So we get a ton of calls, and sometimes a seller might call us 3 or 4 times on our marketing numbers. Well, obviously, we don't want 3 or 4 separate entries for that seller in our leads app. So this incoming correspondence app really acts as a buffer. What it does is it takes in the call, okay, and then it deciphers through the information. It determines whether or not the call is a brand new call or if it's a duplicate call, and then it pushes clean information over into our leads app. Okay, so what happens is you have a call notification email that comes into this app, and then the subject of the email is here. The body of the email is here, and then there are workflows in place that extract the phone number from the body of the text here and puts it here. If there's an email, if it's an incoming email correspondence, then the email address of the correspondent person is entered here, and the call recording is extracted from the notes and entered here. If it's a call or a text message, there's going to be a link extracted from the note section and put here so we can listen to the voicemail or listen to the recorded call or read the text message in call rail. The correspondence type is determined, whether it's a call, text, email, or web submission, and then the marketing campaign is determined because there's a workflow in the back office of this system that pulls the marketing telephone number from the notes section and then enters that information right here in the marketing campaign field. The mailing list field has to be entered in manually, and what happens is whenever we actually talk to this seller and get that information, we'll come back here and then we'll update that information in the mailing list field. All right, and the app is essentially the exact same for the buyer correspondence and the private lender correspondence. And that does it for the incoming correspondence workspace. So then we have our marketing workspace. And within the marketing workspace, you have 4 apps. The first one is our mailing list app. And here in the mailing list app, what you're going to find is what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. What you're going to do is you're going to find all of our mailing lists uploaded to this app so that we can easily find the record. We can easily find the original record from the mailing list for all corresponding leads. And that'll make a little bit more sense a little bit later when we get to the seller leads app. And then you have the marketing campaigns app. and this is um, this essentially houses all of our marketing campaigns, whether it be San Antonio landlord buyer postcard or San Antonio private money on demand letter, or whether it be a yellow letter sent to San Antonio vacant properties. These are all of our marketing campaigns. And the marketing campaigns app is a very essential app because it tracks everything. It literally tracks everything. It tracks the start date of the campaign, the type of the campaign, the campaign status, whether it be in the planning stage, whether it be active or complete. It tracks the phone number that we use, the number of units. So if it's a direct mail campaign that we're mailing to, and there are 4,000 records on the list, the number of units would be 4,000. It tracks the cost of that list. It tracks the total cost of the campaign. It tracks the units, the number of units that are returned to us if it's a direct mail campaign and we send out 4,000 postcards, but um, let's just say 200 of them bounce and come back to us. We're able to track the number that are returned. We're able to track the not interested parties. We're able to track the number of leads, the total responses in general, the number of offers that we make on that campaign, the number of appointments that are set from that campaign, the number of contracts, the number of closed deals, and then the gross revenue, the cost per response, the cost per lead, the cost per not interested, the cost per appointment, the cost per deal, the total response rate, the response rate that actually turns into actual leads, and then the not interested response rate. And then it calculates our net revenue for us down here. What you're going to find is as leads start to pour in from this campaign, you're going to have a whole series of related items down here at the bottom. Okay. And then from those related items, we're able to pull the information that actually gets manually entered into all of these fields. So the system is set up to automatically track everything that goes on. There's only maybe one or two things within this, there's only maybe one or two things within the campaigns app that actually have to be entered in or figured out and calculated manually. So that takes us to the marketing documents. This is just where we house all of the different documents that we use for marketing, all of our raw lists and postcards and letters and things of that nature. And this is our populated zip code app. And what this does is it helps us to keep all of our buyers organized, because what we can do is we can pull from the populated zip codes app and then tag the buyers that are interested in those particular zip codes. And that'll make a little bit more sense a little bit later as well. The operations workspace is where we're going to spend the majority of our time. So I'm just going to go on to these two workspaces real quick. The technical support workspace simply houses the technical support app. And so if you notice something about the system that's not working, maybe there's a glitch or something that needs to be fixed, what you're going to want to do is just go ahead and submit a support ticket, summarize the issue, identify the workspace, identify the app, give a description, a detailed description of what's going on. If you want to go ahead and record a video that helps us to decipher between what's going on as well, that would be really helpful. And then the team member who's submitting the support ticket, the status of the ticket, and then any resolution notes as we fix the problem are going to be entered in there. Okay. So before I go into the operations, well, let's just go into the operations app. So the operations app houses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm sorry, the app operations workspace houses 11 apps. And the first app is going to be our seller leads app. Okay. So over here, you can see these are the views that are available to us. It shows us all of our active sellers, all of the leads that don't have marketing campaigns associated with them, all of the leads where the text message follow-up has not been initiated, and then all of the leads that have not been pushed over to the offers app. And these views you want to show 0 all the time, because every lead should have a marketing campaign. Every lead should have the text message follow-up initiated, and every single lead should get pushed over to the Offers app. Alrighty. So let's just go in and add an app, or add a or go over the fields within the Seller Leads app. First field, you're going to have your first name, last name, property address, which actually is a map. It's a map field, which is pretty cool. So all you got to do is type in a little bit of the property address, and sometimes you actually have to type in the city as well, and then you can select it, and then it gives us a map. And then if we actually click on that map, it goes to Google Maps, and we can actually see the property, which is really cool and convenient. Okay, and this is a property that Marissa and I own in San Antonio. It's a duplex, and you can get a good view of what's going on in the street. So this is extremely helpful to really have this at our fingertips when we're talking to sellers. The next field is interested in selling. So if the caller is interested in selling, obviously you're going to mark yes. If the caller is just calling to ask us to remove them from the mailing list, then you're going to mark no. And what happens when you mark no, a record is going to be automatically created in the not interested app. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and save this, because I want to show you what happens next once you actually save the information and you have a property address in there. So let me just refresh this page. Once I refresh that page, guess what? The Zillow link comes in. This is really cool. The Zillow link comes in and it gives us a ton of information, as long as the address is entered in properly. So let me just delete USA, and that changes the link to Zillow slightly. And for whatever reason, it's not going to show the link for us here. Let's just delete that and see what happens. Well, because this property is a duplex and Zillow is really mostly geared towards single family homes and so forth, it's not giving us an exact match to the property. But usually it would give us a link and an exact match to the property, and we'd be able to see all the Zillow details there. And we also have that set up for e-appraisal, and e-appraisal is actually working for us, so that's pretty cool. And then we also have that set up for us for RealQuest. And let's see if RealQuest works for us. RealQuest works for us, so it gives us all the information on the property. Last sale amount, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, year built, lot size, property type. So RealQuest gives us the information that we're looking for. So to have this information at our fingertips when we're talking to a seller is absolutely beautiful. So then we have the phone number, alternate phone number, email address. And what happens when you enter in an email address? Let me show you. What happens is, and you definitely want to make sure that this email address is accurate, guys, because if it's not accurate, then the system is not going to work properly. All right, so once you update the email address, look what just happened. Automatically, this email is now subscribed to our seller autoresponder, and a follow-up email is going to be sent to this person for the next 12 months. Okay, so this is how we've kind of automated a part of our follow-up system. And then you have the bedrooms, the baths, square footage, the year built, the occupancy. Let me show you what happens when you update the occupancy and the occupancy is vacant. Vacant leads are hot leads. So what happens is a task gets created for you to set an appointment ASAP for ASAP. So if you mark the property vacant, it's going to remind you, hey, you need to go ahead and set an appointment. Okay, and that task shows up down here. Okay. And also, whenever a new lead is created in seller leads, a task to contact the seller and get the details is created there. And then also, if the marketing field is not automatically populated, there's going to be a task down here to update the marketing field with whatever campaign that lead came from. So then you have the listed with realtor question. And if the answer is yes to that question, the lead is automatically marked cold, because if a property is listed with a realtor, there's not much we can do with it. It's a cold lead. So the um, lead status down here is automatically going to be marked cold. All right. Now, is that the asking price is there? Is that price flexible? Yes or no? What happens is, if that price is flexible, the lead is automatically marked warm and a task is set to schedule the appointment. Now, the system is going to be updated to where if a task has already been set to schedule the appointment, then and the question is that flexible is marked yes, we're going to forego actually setting another task because that's kind of redundant. So we are going to go ahead and update that. How did you get that? Um, that's a great question. Basically, it just asks the seller, how did you come up with your asking price? And then we've got a few um, answers that are the common answers that come up. Um, Repairs, here's where you can list any repairs that are necessary. Reason for selling. And then we have the how quickly would you like to sell? And then we have this question, what's most important about selling your property? And then what else? And that'll make a lot more sense when you actually read the document that was created to train for this position. And then we have the willing to budge question. And then we have the is there a mortgage question. If there's no mortgage, that lead is marked as a hot lead, and an appointment reminder is set automatically. Mortgage current. If the mortgage is not current, again, that's going to be a hot lead. And there should be a reminder set to set an appointment. Mortgage balance, mortgage payment, PITI, other liens, cash in 7 days, best you can do. What if it doesn't sell? And then down here is where you're going to enter in the Zillow value, the e-appraisal value, and the RealQuest value that you get from the links that I showed you earlier. The RealQuest, the e-appraisal, and then the Zillow value is where you'll enter in here. Then we have our lead status. And what happens is every lead that comes into the system is automatically tagged new. Okay. The pending leads are the ones that we're trying to contact, but we have not been able to contact. And then we have our hot, warm, and cold leads. And then we have our listing referrals. What happens is when you hit listing referral, it's automatically going to share this lead with our preferred listing agents. And then when you hit short sale referral, it's automatically going to share this lead with our preferred short sale agents. Okay. So you definitely want to be careful. If we're not actually trying to share this lead, do not select either of these two um, category options. And then we have our next action field. The next action is either going to be to mail an offer, to set an appointment, to go on an appointment. And you'll see that go on appointment is already selected here because we've got all these tasks down here to set an appointment for ASAP. So all these um, automatically, when a task is set to schedule an appointment, the next action is automatically updated to go on appointment. And then we have follow up. Now, when follow up is selected, let me show you what happens. When follow up is selected, you see this field changed. When follow-up is selected, automatically the text message follow-up sequence is initiated. Okay, so what's going to happen is this lead is going to receive a text message on Wednesday, November 11th, which is exactly 21 days from now. Okay, and then what's going to happen is after that text message goes out, this date field is going to change to the next date that a text message is going to go out, and then this field is going to change to the next message that's going to go out. And you can see here we've got 8 text messages that are going to be going out over a period of time. So when the follow-up, when the next action field is updated follow-up, a text message follow-up sequence that spans over the next like 8 or 10 months is actually going to be initiated. So you want to be careful if we're not actually wanting to follow up with someone, make sure that you don't select follow-up, okay? Because they're going to be getting text messages from us for the next 10 months. All right, so then we have the follow-up in field. So let's just say you're talking to somebody and they say, I'm a little busy right now. Can you call me back in 2 days or a day? If you come in and select follow up in, let's just say 2 days, what's going to happen is a task to follow up with that person in 2 days is going to be created, and it's going to be listed down here at the bottom. Follow up in 2 days. If you select follow up in 30 days, the exact same thing happens. A task is going to be created to go ahead and follow up with that person in 30 days. All right. So then we have the only decision maker field. Then we have the personality type field. There are no workflows for these. And then right here is where you're going to enter any notes about the call. So let's just say you're talking to the seller and the seller says that they work long hours at HEB. They have a dog and 4 kids. They inherited the property and want the cash ASAP. Here's where you would enter any notes regarding the call. Here is where you would connect this lead to the mailing list record. So what you would do is you would just go ahead and search for the lead, 5239 Gawain Drive. And because we don't have any records in the mailing list app at this particular time, nothing's going to show up. But once we actually start mailing out utilizing this Podio system, every lead that we actually mail to is going to be in the mailing list app, so you should be able to locate it. And then the marketing campaign should already be filled out for us. However, if it's not, here's where we would link this lead to the marketing campaign that created it. And then here's where we push to offers. So when I go ahead and hit push now, a new record or a new item is going to get created in the next app that we're going to talk about, which is the offers app. Here's where we have our appointments field. This field is extremely important. You want to make sure that all of these fields are completed before ever touching this field right here. Okay, because once we enter in a date, what's going to happen is a record is going to get created in the appointments app. So you can see here, this record has been created, and then a file is going to be added to that record, and that file is going to create the appointment packet that our acquisition associate is going to use when he goes on the appointment. So if you update this field and the other fields are not complete, what's going to happen is the appointment packet is going to be incomplete, and we're going to have to regenerate another appointment packet. So you want to make sure that all of these fields are complete before ever touching the appointments field. And then the call recording field is already taken care of for us. This information gets patched in or pushed in from the incoming correspondence app. And then we have our call history. So if the caller calls multiple times or sends multiple text messages, all of those items from the call from the correspondence app are going to be listed right here. And then down here at the bottom, you're going to see any tasks that are associated with that particular lead. Okay. All right. And that does it for the Seller Leads app. So let's go over to the next app, which is going to be the Offers app. If you want to just exit out of a particular lead, all you have to do is just go to, or just hit the workspace, and it'll take you to the workspace. And you can see here are all the tasks that need to be completed in this particular workspace. So let's just say we go to the marketing workspace. This is the dashboard for the marketing workspace, and this is all the tasks that need to be completed. And then we also have the calendar of events that are associated with the marketing workspace. So let's go back over to operations. Now we have our Offers app, and you can see this is the offer that we just generated. Okay, when we hit that field that was called Push to Offers app, this offer was generated, and it pushed a lot of information over for us. So the property address is already populated for us. We just need to enter in the city. This property is in San Antonio. And this is the actual lead that references the offer. So if I was to open this in a new link, it takes me right back over to the actual seller lead, just in case I need to reference any information from it. Okay, makes it easy to do that. The owner of record will already be populated for you as long as within the seller lead item, the mailing list was included. But let's just say that the lead was a internet lead from Google AdWords or from Facebook or from Yelp or whatever the case is. This field is not going to be completed, and what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go over to the public records website for that county, which for San Antonio and Bexar County, it's bcad.org. You're going to need to find that record. So that you can enter in the owner of record, which is here. And then you're going to enter in the property county. And then these fields, the owner address, owner city, owner state, owner zip, as long as the mailing list item is completed, this information will auto-populate. So you can actually auto-populate this information one of two ways. If the mailing list item is already updated in the seller lead item, so down here, mailing list, if it's already updated before the item is pushed over to the Offers app, that information is already going to be there. If for some reason one of our team members forgets to do that or whatever the case may be, and then you search for it here in the mailing list item, what's going to happen, and then you find it, then this information will also get auto-populated. However, again, if it's a internet lead, then the information is not in the mailing list because there is no mailing list for internet leads. So then you're going to have to get that information from the county website. So you would just go to view details, and you can see here's a mailing list or the mailing address for that particular property. And then you would just enter that information in. And then the bedrooms, the baths, the square footage, the year built, that's all going to get pulled in from the previous record in the seller leads item. The subdivision may not, so you may have to update that also from BCAD, and that's going to be Woodbridge Duplex. And then the Zillow value, the e-appraisal value, the RealQuest value, the county appraisal is all going to get pulled in from the previous lead. in the seller leads item or seller leads app, but it's also a field that you can change for any reason if you need to. The after repair value is what you're going to determine. So you're going to determine the after repair value by calculating these values and also by doing a little bit of due diligence on your own. And that due diligence that you're going to do is by like running comps and so forth. And then you're going to enter in the after repair value, and then you're just going to estimate the repairs, and then you're going to determine an offer amount. So let's just go ahead and enter an offer amount. Let's just say we're going to offer $85,000 for this property, and we're going to put up $1,000 in earnest money, and our option amount is going to be $100, and our option period we're going to put 30 days. Today's date is already populated for you, and then the offer deadline is already populated for you as well. Special provisions is populated with a little bit of language that we must put in every contract that we generate. So it's already automatically done for you. But let's just say you wanted to add another special provision as well. Please remove all brush from the front of the property. Or let's just say seller agrees to remove all brush from the front of the property. And then the generate/send offer, every last one of these options does something. So let's select this first one. See what that does. What that does is it creates this 2-page offer, and it auto-populates a lot of information. The mailing address for the owner is not entered in, so it doesn't show up here. And that's actually a really good point that I want to make. Let me just stop and make that point. Every last one of these fields, every last one of these fields needs to be updated before ever touching this field. Okay? Because if not, then we're not going to be able to get the information auto-populated that's necessary for these documents. Okay? But what happens is this document gets created, and this is a 2-page purchase agreement to buy the property for $85,000. You can see here under additional terms, the language that we put in there is here. Multiple owners of buying entity are licensed real estate agents in the state of Texas. Buyer agrees to pay all normal closing costs, excluding agent commissions. Seller agrees to remove all brush from the front of the property. That was entered there. And we have this nice, clean document that we can now do something with. So, and then also what happens is whenever you select one of these items, automatically it reverts back to this, because if it doesn't and you go in and change anything, then automatically a new document gets created or one of these other actions occurs again, and we don't want that to happen. So we have a workflow in the back office of the system to prevent that. All right, so if you select this action, another workflow is created. So by selecting that one, guess what? A more complex document called the TREC contract. TREC stands for the Texas Real Estate Commission. Is created for us, and this is a 9-page document. So this is a document that we want to use whenever we're dealing with like attorneys or real estate agents, or maybe a seller is more savvy. This is the document that we want to use in that situation. You can see all the information is auto-populated. Our name, our company. So this is actually going to be the name of the seller that gets populated there. Our company goes there. The property address gets populated there. The offer amount gets populated there and there. The earnest money goes there, and tons of other information all throughout the document gets populated, including our special provisions language, which is right there. So when you hit generate Trek PDF, a more complicated contract gets created. And whenever these contracts gets created, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see both of those contracts are actually attached in the files section of this record. And again, contract generated is automatically placed there. So now we have these two documents attached to this record. What we want to do is we want to now send that document either to the seller by email, by mail, or by both. So if we just want to email it to the seller, then we would select this option here. And guess what? Oh, I shouldn't have done that. But let me just go into my email and I'll show you that that email was sent. And took a little while, but there it is. So from Straight Street Real Estate Solutions, we've got this document that was, or this email that was sent out, and it says hi, and then the name would be here if the owner of record, oh, I'm sorry, if the seller lead, first name, last name was completed there, then the name would be here. It would say, hi, Marcus Bledsoe. Thanks for taking the time to speak with our team at Straight Street Real Estate Solutions. Please find our offer attached. There are many benefits to doing business with our company, and we will do our best to make sure that your experience with us is one you will be proud to tell your friends and family about. Check out some of our testimonials and then this is our website with a direct link to the testimonials page. And they can go by and they can watch some of the videos that we're going to upload regarding our testimonials. We look forward to hearing from you. And then both of the attachments that are attached to that file are right there. So you want to make sure that before you select, let's go back over to the offer. You want to make sure that before you actually email or mail anything, that the files that are down here are the files that you actually want to mail or email. Okay. So this next feature, send to Lob, I'm not actually going to click this because I don't want to actually send anything to Lob. But two things. When you send something to Lob, you can only send one attachment. So if you've made a mistake and you've created two documents and attached them to this item, you want to make sure that you delete whichever one you created. But if you didn't make a mistake, then there's only going to be one document, because we're not going to generate two types of contracts for any of these records. It's either going to be one or the other. So there should only be one attachment. And when you send it to Lob, what's going to happen is Lob is a company. And Lob has designed a software platform where we can use Podio to print and mail our documents and send them to wherever we want them to go. So what's going to happen is the owner's mailing address that's entered in here is going to receive our purchase offer in about 5 to 7 days when we select send to Lob. And if we want to email and send to Lob, which is what I definitely recommend, if we have an email address on file, we want to both email and mail them a purchase agreement, then we're going to select this one. So I'm not going to select it because, again, it's going to mail that contract, and I don't want that to happen because that's going to cost me money. So, and then whenever any of these items are selected, one of these two items is automatically updated. So if we just send it to Lob, then it's going to automatically update sent to Lob. If we email and send to Lob, then it's going to automatically update emailed and sent to Lob. And then offer sent right here has four options: either not sent, either sent by mail, sent by email, or sent by mail and email. And this field corresponds with this field as well. And then we have the status of the offer, whether it be new, pending, rejected, countered, or accepted. And then we have the offer acceptance date. If you hit acceptance, or if you hit accepted, it automatically populates today's date. And then we have the marketing field. And then it also does a couple other things when you hit accepted. And we'll go over and see what that did here in a second. Just wait for some of that stuff to get out of there. All right. Then we have the marketing campaign field, which should have been pushed over from the Seller Leads app. And then we have the mailing list, which also should have been pushed over from the Seller Leads app. But if it's not, again, you can come down here and update that. And then if it's a direct mail lead, all of this information is going to get populated up there. And this field is going to get deleted. As a matter of fact, let me just delete that field now. So I'm not sure why it's there. All right, so let's go on to the next app, which is going to be the whiteboard app. Whenever an offer is marked accepted, the offer acceptance date, again, is automatically populated, and the offer is actually created in our whiteboards app here. So you can see here, this is the offer. And a lot of information is automatically pulled over. You have the property address, you have the original seller contact, you have the offer reference the offer that we just pushed into this whiteboard. And then we have where we can enter in a property description. Then we have the title agent that we're using to facilitate the transaction, the lockbox code, our buy price, which was $85,000, our sell price, which let's just say we sell it for $115,000, and then our spread, which is $30,000, and that's automatically calculated for us. Then we have our buyer contact, whoever our buyer is, his information is there, or her information. Then we have our buyer entity. This is very important. This is the name that the buyer buys in. So we need to make sure that we have this field complete before we generate any paperwork down here. Okay, so then we have the offer acceptance date, which got pushed over from the offer, from the offers app. We have our close date, which is the date that we expect our buyer to close. We have their deposit. We have the deposit deadline, which we're going to mark as October 23rd. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to enter in a buying entity. First time investor LLC. And then I'm going to create a buyer contact as well. With an email address. And I'm going to save that. Because when I come down here to generate send contract, it acts, this field acts exactly as the field in the offers item. So if I hit generate two-page assignment, it's going to generate that contract for me. And this is a different contract. This is a sell side contract. So you can see a ton of information got populated. Okay, our company is there. Today's date is there. First time investor LLC, which is the name of the buying entity, the actual owner, of the property is there. The property address is there. Our profit, which is $30,000, is there. The date that the buyer agrees to close is there. Um, their deposit that's required is there. And we have a very clean 2-page purchase agreement that we can now email over to the buyer. So if we hit email to buyer, guess what? The buyer is going to get an email, and it's probably going to take a couple of seconds. And there we have it. And and then the sale status is under contract. We have a few different statuses for the sale status. Here's where we can enter in any buyer inquiries. So let's just say somebody calls us on a particular property that we're marketing. We want to actually go to the whiteboard before we go anywhere else in Podio, and we want to search for that buyer. If that buyer is already in Podio, then we want to find him and mark him here, because we want to be able to show every buyer that has ever we want to be able to show every buyer that has ever contacted us in reference to this property. And let me just verify and make sure that oh, it's not. We need that to be a multiple reference field. Because if we have 10 or 15 buyers that contact us about this property, we want to show all of them. We want to show all of them here, because if we ever have a property like this again, we want to be able to come directly to this property and see all the people that contacted us about it, so we can call them about that new property, because chances are they'll be interested in buying that property since it's very similar to the one that they initially contacted us about. And if we want to schedule a showing for this property, we would do so here by coming down and creating a new appointment. And then we would enter any notes about the deal. And then for the pictures and the video, this is where we would enter that link. For the postlet, this is where we'd enter that link. And then here's where the marketing campaign gets pushed over into the whiteboard. Okay. And then we got a series of tasks that get created every time a new whiteboard item is complete or is created. Okay. We're going to create a postlet. We're going to market the property via our email blast. We're going to market the property via our voicemail blast, our text message blast. We're also going to post the property to all classified sites, and we're going to post the property to our buyer website. Okay. So that does it for the whiteboard app. Okay. Let me go back to the MLS/HUD offers app, and we'll show you what these fields consist of. First field is a property address field, and it works just like the property address field in the Seller Leads app. Next field is the lead type, and it basically just is the type of lead that it is, whether it be an MLS listed property, whether it be a HUD property, auction.com. And then once we actually create the offer, then these links are going to get populated for us. And then the bedrooms, baths, square footage, subdivision, list price, days on market, agent remarks, public remarks, Zillow value, county appraisal, due diligence, after repair value, repair estimate, offer amount, earnest money, special provisions, option amount, option period, owner of record, property city, property county. All of these fields we've already discussed in the previous apps. They work just like all of the other fields. Okay. So we have these links, special provisions, that works just like the special provisions in the offers app. Owner of record, property city, property county. Generate/send contract works the exact same way. So we Once we're ready to actually generate a contract, we'll generate a Shrek contract, and then we'll email it to the agent. And then we have a an option here to resend it to the agent. So we can choose to resend it to the agent, or we can send them a reminder email. We have 1, 2, and 3 reminder emails. And then we have the offer status, which works exactly like the uh, previous offers app. Excuse me. Let me just sip some water here. And then we have the offer acceptance. So again, if we were to hit accepted, the offer acceptance date would automatically, excuse me, populate, and this offer would automatically get pushed into the whiteboard, exactly the same as it would within the offers app as well. And then we have the listing agent's contact information here, the buyer commission, the MLS number, and then the marketing campaign. The marketing campaign should automatically get created, um, updated whenever the new item is created. So that should already be updated for us. No, I'm so sorry. Whenever an email is actually generated and sent, that's when the marketing campaign field gets updated. Okay. So that does it for the MLS/HUD Offers app. Next app we're going to talk about is the Appointments app. The Appointments app, you're going to create an appointment. You're usually going to create an appointment from a different app. So if you remember, within the Seller Leads app, we had this appointment item, or we had this appointment field down here, and when we altered it, it created that appointment for us. Well, this is that appointment. Okay. And let's just say we create an appointment from the whiteboard because someone called us on a particular property and they wanted to see it. So what we would do is right here under schedule showing, this is where we would create a new item, and then we would fill in all the appointment fields. And then let's just say we're just scheduling an appointment to meet with a buyer just because we're interested in meeting with them. Well, we would actually create the appointment here, um, by altering this appointment field. Okay, so we never really want to go to the Appointments app to create an appointment. We want to create the appointment from these other apps because we want to be able to track that appointment and determine where that appointment came from. With that being said, let's just go into this appointment that we created earlier. So the contact reference field is going to be the actual lead. So this is the seller lead. If I was to just open up this seller lead here, it goes back to the field, or I'm sorry, it goes back to the actual seller lead that that appointment is in reference to. Just exit out of some of this other stuff here. And then the next field is going to be the date and the time. So that appointment was scheduled for October 22nd at 10 a.m. And then the appointment type, you can see it was a seller appointment. So seller is already selected. If it was a buyer appointment, buyer would be selected. It's a private lender appointment, private lender would be selected. And that appointment was actually set by the system automatically. So Straight Street Real Estate Solutions set that appointment. The appointment attendee needs to be updated. So we're just going to say Marcus is going on that appointment. And then the appointment complete is going to be the appointment complete field is going to be completed after the appointment. So let's just say they went on the appointment, they would mark yes. If they did not go on the appointment, they would mark no. If the appointment was rescheduled, they would mark rescheduled. If it was canceled, they would mark canceled. And if either of these selections are chosen, a task is created to Let's just select rescheduled. A task is created to leave notes as to why the appointment was rescheduled. And if you select no, it's also going to do the exact same thing. I need to alter that, change that, make sure that that is working properly. And then we have the status of our offer. We're only going to update this field if it's a seller appointment. Okay. And then here's where we would leave any notes regarding the appointment. So after the appointment is complete, we want to come back and we want to notate what occurred on that appointment. And then the offers app reference. Uh, Here's where we want to mark the offers. Here's where we want to mark the offers that are in reference to that appointment. And then the marketing campaign will have already been pushed over either from the seller leads app, the buyer leads app, or the private lender leads app. But that's where that would go when we have any tasks. And right here is where we have that appointment packet that we talked about earlier. And you can see here that a lot of information was actually mail merged into the appointment packet. The mailing address, the name of the person would have been there if I would have entered that. And you can see it's got a very nice feel to it. It's got the company logo, repair estimate sheet, and then we have the property address here, the number of bedrooms, baths, square footage, and the year built would have been here if I would have entered that data in. The name of the person here, and then we've got a blank offer for our acquisition associate to complete and fill out on site and give to the seller. And then we've got the actual offer. And then we got the property profile sheet. The property profile sheet details all the information from the original seller lead sheet. So the name of the person, phone number, email address, alternate phone number, their personality type would be there. The number of bedrooms, baths, square footage, all of the property details would be there. Their motivation and price information would be there. Their mortgage information would be there, and then the values section would be completed as well if all of those fields were completed. And you can see all the call notes were there as well. Worked long hours at HEB. They have a dog and 4 kids. They inherited the property and want the cash ASAP. So it's very important, again, that before generating any documents or setting any appointments, that all fields are completed. And that does it for the Appointments app. The last app that we're going to discuss in this video is going to be our Buyer Leads app. So let me just go into this buyer lead that I created earlier. And you can see that it takes down my first name, or the first name of the buyer, last name, phone number, alternate phone number, email address, the autoresponder. And what's going to happen is when the email address is filled in, the buyer autoresponder is also going to be entered. And it's actually not set up to do so at the moment, but we are going to make sure that that happens. Interested in buying, company name, buyer type, years in business. What you're going to find is if you mark 5 years or more, it's automatically going to mark this lead as hot, and it's going to set a task for you to schedule an appointment. Last 6 months, if a buyer has purchased 2 or more properties in the last 6 months, it's also going to mark the lead as hot and set a task to schedule an appointment. Investor type, if wholesaler is selected, then the buyer is automatically going to be subscribed to our wholesaler autoresponder. So that's one thing to notate right there. Property type, areas of interest, zip code, relationship. This field actually references that the zip code app that was in the marketing workspace. So we'll talk about what that is going to to do a little bit later on in another video. So then we have price range, ideal ARV, source of funding, availability of funding. There are no workflows that are associated with those fields. We have the notes about the call, personality type, and then we have the appointment again. Let's just schedule an appointment for 8 a.m. on October 22nd. We'll see what happens. You can see here an appointment was scheduled and a file was created. In the appointments app, and we'll go back over to the appointments app so we can take a look at that file here in a second. And then the lead status, the next action, the call recording gets pulled in from the correspondence app. The mailing list, we want to make sure that when we're talking to the seller or to the buyer, we ask them what mailing address that we sent the direct mail piece to, so that we can go ahead and update the mailing list. The marketing campaign should already be updated, and then the call history is going to be available for us right there. Any tasks that are necessary, any whiteboard items that are associated with, or any other related items at all, are going to be listed here. So we've got 2 associated items. So we got 2 associated items here within this lead, because Marcus Bledsoe is referenced in the whiteboard app twice. So let's just go over to the appointment and take a look at what happened. So the appointment got created. The appointment sheet was actually created as well. And the buyer profile sheet contains all the information from the buyer lead. And this is available for our representative that's going on that appointment to print off and have all the information about that buyer available to them there. So let's just recap what we went over. We went ahead and talked about our human resources workspace, our incoming correspondence workspace, our marketing workspace, our technical support workspace, and then we also touched on our operations workspace. And within our operations workspace, we went over our seller leads app and how that works and corresponds with all the other apps, our offers app, our MLS HUD offers app, our appointments app, and our whiteboard, as well as our buyer leads app. All right, so if you have any questions in reference to Podio or how Podio works, feel free to ask those questions. And thank you so very much for watching this video. Take care.